I've generated over 9 million online as an educator, coach, and school community owner. And in this video, I show you exactly how I use NotebookLM in 2026 to create better content, training, as well as social media and YouTube content and promotional materials. If you're unfamiliar with NotebookLM, it is, by Google, somewhat like a large language model, but the difference is that it only references your provided sources, so your own core materials and the trusted vetted sources you provide. This massively reduces hallucinations, and it also makes sure that we are really synthesizing our own knowledge and we can have better control over the input so we can produce higher quality output. Head to notebooklm.google and then say try notebook. The really cool thing about this is that you can create up to 50 notebooks for free, and every notebook has massive storage. All you have to do is say create new notebook. Then this window pops up because the first step, of course, is that we need to provide sources. We can provide sources from our Google Drive. We can also link a website. We can also link a YouTube video, and we can also copy and paste content. The source limit here is 600 files and is actually really huge. All right, so for this demonstration, I want to use my latest training, the School Launch Challenge, as a base. So I will go to my Google Drive and then to my knowledge base for 2026, and I will go here into the challenge, and I have taken all of the transcripts from the challenge and I organized them in here. Now, one thing that I highly recommend is to start getting into the habit of recording yourself throughout the day when you're working on something and just talking out what you do to really start to have that source material. And then everything you create, every Loom you record, every training you make sure to organize the transcripts and the links in a way that you, just like me, can quickly pull them into something and start processing it. And that's true for NotebookLM, but also for all other large language models that you use. Now I have the content purely from my challenge in here. I also now can add other sources depending on what I want to do with this content. Let's first explore here what NotebookLM is offering us. So here first I want to name this. So School Launch Challenge. And then you see that it gives us like an executive summary here. And then it gives us some questions. How does the role model, value model transform personal documentation into a business? Right? So we can just tap on this and it will basically synthesize the answer to this question only from my sources here. And this is really, really beautiful to learn to synthesize your own sources and insights and learn how to be articulate about it and how to better communicate it. So here now it is having the synthesis, right? And I always find this text like a little bit hard to read. So what I can now do is I can actually take this and I can come here and say infographic, and I can have detailed and just paste this like a prompt in here and ask it to generate this. While this generates, I want to show you another way in which you can use this. You can have an audio overview. And again, here you have different options. So you can have a deep dive, a lively conversation between two hosts, unpacking and connecting topics in your sources. Again, I think this is so valuable, even if you provided the sources, because it would just help you to better understand and articulate the things that you have created. And this is so valuable when teaching others. We have a brief, a bite-sized overview to help you grasp the core ideas. We have a critique and expert review of your sources, offering constructive feedback to help you improve your materials. Debate, a thoughtful debate between two hosts, illuminating different perspectives on your sources. All of them are super helpful. I just want to do short, and then I want to have a brief here, and then generate this here for me as an audio overview. But I definitely love to have a critique on it, right? To see what can I improve. And I also love to hear it talking with each other, because then I can also understand how would I better communicate this from different angles to reach and transform even more people. Now, really cool, we can also create a video overview, and we can, for example, have a whiteboard here with a brief explainer. And then I, for example, can also say to just zoom in on this concept, right? So we can make it global for all of the resources, but we can also zoom in just on this one concept. Now here we have two global things, the mind map and the report. So here we cannot zoom in on like a specific concept we worked out, but I still find this really, really helpful. So I click on generating it here. Now, when we want to generate a report, we can have create your own craft reports your way by specifying structure, style, tone, and more. Very helpful if you need to create reports anyways. That can even be helpful if you bring feedback to students in a specific structure. Just always be mindful when you use material provided by your students, you need to have consent to upload it, right? Then we have briefing doc, a study guide, a blog post, a strategic plan, training manual, a detailed manual on creating and structuring offers within a school community business. So this is what it's suggesting me, and I actually really like this idea, so I will let it generate that from my resources. Flashcards are super fun. And again, we can just generate general flashcards, and we can also generate around specific topics. So I also want to do it around a specific topic, and I want to make more cards, and I want to make it really hard. Okay, now these are things that we can provide our students with, that we can use to explain concepts in videos, that we can use as a basis for social media content. So I really like playing around with these options. Quiz is a little bit self-explanatory. You can create a quiz for your whole content, but of course you can also customize it to more questions, make it harder, and then zoom in on a specific topic. So for example, launch day quiz. Okay, now we already did the infographic. Let me see what it generated here for us. So let's start with the infographic here. So it made this infographic around the role model method, which is what I introduced there. And you can see this is really, really detailed. The mechanism, how transformation becomes a product. Strive for your role model self. Define and actively pursue the most actualized version of yourself. So I literally can now use this as a way to drive home the transformation even better for my members. This is great to make a YouTube video, right? This is a really, really great foundation for further processing of the content. And now what I can do is I can download this here, and then I can rename it. And now I can, for example, use this to create the content for other things. So for example, I'm adding this source again. Please write a prompt that creates an explainer audio for the role model method.jpg. So now the audio, the explainer audio that I created before, I now have it here. It's really, really fun, right? And it's something that you can also provide for your students, or you can just use it and to listen to it to understand how you can better articulate those concepts. Okay, now we have the different briefs here, and I just want to take the first one. And I want to do then the deep dive podcast on it, and then it should be a long podcast, and now we can generate it. That's how you can use it. Now, what we can also do is to say, let's transform this again into a different asset. So let's say we actually want to take this infographic and we want to turn it into a slide deck. So based on the role model method, what would be 5 captivating presentation topics? And by the way, we can also just create the slide deck per se from it. Get paid to become you blueprint. Perfect. I like this concept. So now I would, productizing your problems. I also really like this. I will make the slide deck here. I go for a detailed slide deck, length long, and now I can generate it. Now I want to review quickly a couple other things that we did. So we also did the mind map. Here you see community launch and growth, core philosophy, community first approach, role model method, niche and brand strategy, marketable journey, borrowed brand, hourglass niching, unique positioning, about page blueprint, vision casting, mission driven hook. So it really breaks down all of the things that I covered in the challenge in really great detail. And this would be such a valuable video to record for my community as well, driving home all the points and bringing it together. Or even if I just supply my community with this and give them the opportunity to see how all of it fits together, this is a different learning modality that can really help them out to better understand what they learned and what it all is as in concepts that they need to grasp. Okay, and now I can download it as a PNG, right? And I can provide it for them as well. Or make a separate training around it where I really, really drive home all of the points. So that's the mind map that it made here. Now let's go to the flashcards. So here, see what's the key distinction between an info business and community business in the context of school. See the answer, info business sells knowledge with a community as a byproduct, while community business primary value is community itself with content as the product, right? And so here you can see, and you can of course also download this as well. It will download a CV file for you. We also created the community quiz, so I want to show you what that looks like. And you can either provide this, or you can also use that as check-in questions under your modules as well. So according to the role model community approach, what is the primary source of content for the community, right? And then I would be like, oh, the live Q&A. No, wrong. It is the documentation of your journey, right? So I can also put those questions in to check if members understood this. And of course, we can also make the quiz per module, right? Make a quiz for day 1 of the challenge to really see if people understood this. And I also think one opportunity that's underrated is taking those questions and using them as topics for videos as well, right? So for example, according to the role model approach, what is the primary source of content in your community? So if I was to rephrase this most curiosity driven, I can just say, what is the most curiosity driven way in which I can frame this question? Okay, the answer, the source of the content. How can I stop manufacturing content and instead build a business where the product is simply byproduct? Okay, now we can say, for example, that would now be a good title for me. Is like for a new infographic would be stop manufacturing content, do this instead. Right, and that would already be also a really good YouTube video title for me. So if I now wanted to make a YouTube video about this, I would actually have it laid out as slides first, so I know what to cover. And I can again do it long, and then I can have it generate the slides for me. So we did also ask it to create a training manual. So now let's see what this looks like. If we're copying this and putting this in a document, training manual, designing and structuring high-value school communities, the foundational philosophy, community as the byproduct, the role model approach, design your core community offer, crafting your about page, maturity and optimization, trigger for tiers. This is really, 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 really good. So designing and structuring high-value school community offers. So this will now be a school community offer guide that I can turn even into a planner. So now what I would do here is to go in here, show prompt, copy it. And then when I go into the reports here, I can say create your own. Include planning sections so that this becomes a school community offer planner. And then I can regenerate it. And after, I would just design it, and I basically have a finished product based on my exact teachings, right? So it's very, very effective here. Now, one more thing that I want to show you while it's working on the slide decks is that we can also prompt it to generate in our designs. So I do have a design guide. So here is the Instagram content design, and I just quickly download it in here and add that source. And now I can, for example, from this guide say designing and structuring high quality community offers, standard, square. Please make the graphic in my design to fit my Instagram. And now I can generate it, right? So we can bring in resources as we need them to refine the content here as well. Now it's still working on a few things and generating here. So while it does that, I want to show you how to also maybe use the data table. So here I can say use the data table, and then I want to say create an FAQ table. And that is also something we can then add later on. So here it also gives you a few things to try. Create a table with major findings in the research papers, extract the most important quotes, list vacations. Okay, extract Instagram-worthy quotes from the transcripts that can be also used as video hooks to sell the challenge. So here it now generated the presentation, and I want to show you this. So the role model method played a strategic guide to launching and growing a sustainable community business. The old info business model is broken, traditional approach, the new paradigm. So cool already with the graphics here. The guiding principle, how to think like a community architect, start with the vision, not the finished product, my Western town facade. Like, this is so good. I can literally use this as is. And the reason why I can use this as is because it only uses my sources. It does not make up any fluff. Here it even has go first, inspire the first answers, create a movement, architecting the value ladder, launch and growth playbook, really cool, the different phases. So this is perfect. I can use this exactly as is. And the way in which I would probably use this is to turn it into a workshop that I would use in my free community, that I would make free live, and then for 24 hours. And after that, they can find it in my community, for example. Or this can also be a YouTube video running people down on the principle and then saying, and by the way, all of this is also in the challenge. Come join us and do the challenge with us, right? So really cool here. And I love how it really brings together all of the things that I taught, and it basically elevates the challenge as well. Now, for example, to further elevate the challenge, we can also go here into the reports. First, I would actually add some context. Maybe we can even add this here, a detailed overview of areas of improvement for the challenge, content, contradictions, holes, things that are unclear, right? And then based on that, I can prompt it to make me a 2.0 version of the challenge so that I have an even better product. Okay, now here we can see, here are my quotes now that I can use. Now, quote hook, you get paid to become the person you want to become anyways. Then nobody wants to be vulnerable when nobody else is. You go first. Okay, your job is to be the first person dancing. The surprising truth about engagement is that most people think educational content drives engagement when it doesn't. I like this. Your about page copy literally is the blueprint for the space you create. So those are really great quotes that I can use. And I probably want to do this again. A list of Instagram-worthy quotes that will work towards an unaware audience. Okay, now you see it also generated our deep dive session.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So forget spending weeks, tearing through all these conflicting launch guides and white papers. We've done that work for you.
We really have.
And I'm so excited actually about this. I think I will also provide it in the community for people that just need our students to get them transformation, and our customers, they often need to hear things from so many different perspectives until it clicks. And for some, just going through the challenge is overwhelming. So offering those different modalities for them to understand with NotebookLM in such an easy way, I think is such a win. Okay, here we also have, it also made productizing your problems, how to turn your struggles into a syllabus, Guru Tower, your growth becomes your business, role model method, the mechanism, right? So another great way to angle into it. Now, a couple more things that I want to show you. The infographic. So you can see it did the infographic following my branding guideline. Role model method, get paid for your personal growth. Personal growth becomes the business. So it basically did a really, really good job with that. Now, sometimes there is an end to the expertise that I can offer, right? So what I want to then do is I want to strategically bring in knowledge from outside as well. So for example, in this case, I'm the expert on ads, so I bring myself in here and I add a source of a YouTube video where I explain the first ad that I always recommend to run. So based on I ran thousands of ads video, what exactly does my copy to promote the full launch challenge need to be? And now I can have it write the copy following my method. And here I also have the offer planner. So this one is really, really good now. All I have to do is design this, and then I have another amazing in-school offer that is based on exactly what I teach. Okay, so now it has the primary text. Stop trying to be the guru. You don't need to be an expert. I would say yes. We start here, insight you get. And that is a really good starting point for a copy. I would probably, because NotebookLM is not the best at writing copy, but I would use that as a starting point and then just write it a little bit more, like reduce the amount of text basically for Facebook. You don't need to be an expert to launch a profitable community. I like that angle into it. It's that the best way to start a community is not to create a course first, but to get paid to become the person you wanted to be anyways. In the School Launch Challenge, I teach you that. Really love that. And it also is the most truest form of this, which is why I love to use it as the first ad. Now, sometimes we are not the expert in anything. Hopefully we are the expert in something, but we cannot be the expert in everything. So to further synthesize, I do like to bring in other experts. And so, for example, for YouTube titles, I now need to see if my YouTube editor has a video about titles, because I would prefer to have it from him. How to come up with a killer video idea that pops up. Okay, so I will add the source, and then I will add, according to Ben's advice, what YouTube video ideas can you find in my source materials? Now it also made another infographic for us. Stop manufacturing content. There is a more sustainable, authentic, and profitable way to build your community and business. You've been taught more educational content leads to more engagement. The data says otherwise. Oh yeah, these are super, super good. Really like them. I might actually just start using them for my YouTube videos so I can drive the points home more effectively. Okay, so from Ben's advice, the fast outcome formula, how to achieve this and that. Video title ideas. Want a monthly recurring revenue, no audience. The board brand strategy. I like this. So we can just take this here and then make the next content piece for it, to at least think what already is in our sources through from that angle, how we can present it, right? So title, subtitle. And now we're already creating the outline and concept for the next video. We can read through and we can be like, okay, this is how I can present into the things that I already share and teach from that very marketable angle of a high converting YouTube video. Okay, now we have, give me 7 days and I'll force you to launch your business. I like it. Title, give me 7 days and I'll force you to launch your school. Subtitle, stop manufacturing, start documenting. Right, so like this, I can just go through and then basically use that as the idea, as the angles into the YouTube videos as well. Then I record the YouTube videos at my specific context for what comes up for me when I see my own data in that structure, which then surfaces more insight that I can then further productize. Because I can also use a YouTube video to create another resource from it, right? So I can, for example, now let's upload another video just so you get see the principle of this. So maybe we're uploading in the vision board workshop that I did. There was a lot of context around the role model. So I'm going to add this in here. And now when I create this new YouTube video based on this, right? Because I've created the vision board workshop based on synthesis, you create basically new content. And now you can also use that again to create more resources, right? So now under reports, I can say, create a complete role model self planner, and it will do that. So yeah, you can send it really, really detailed into work. And now, of course, sometimes we don't know all the experts that we borrow from. So sometimes we also want to borrow from other experts. So let's say a couple more things that I love to create is actually carousel posts. So here we can say how to write viral carousel posts. We can just go for a video that is recent. Everything you need to know about creating viral carousels in 29 minutes. Dakota, shout out to you. And see how I'm not now teaching people how to write a viral carousel or anything. It's just I'm just using him as the guide to bring my own teachings into structure, right? So I'm not taking what he taught and I make resources or trainings around that. I just let him guide how I want to process this, right? So learn how to write a killer carousel from the video I shared, and we're going to link the video below if you want to try it. And then give me 10 viral carousel ideas about my school launch challenge. And I think in the meantime, we also have ready how to the critical analysis. And now I can say in the next one here, while it gives me this, I can prompt it here and say, recreate the school launch planner, fixing all of the problems noticed in here. Oh, I might be a little bit too big. Key recommendations, conclusion. We might need to do it differently. Please write a prompt to generate a 2.0 version of the challenge, fixing all of these errors. Okay, it's too big. So in that case, I can just add this, fixing all of its errors as per the latest document attached. Okay, and now here we have the carousels that came through in the meantime. So part 1, the killer carousel strategy, how to, following the script, how I is better than how to. Choose your type, informal versus revelational. Second chance mechanism. Okay, the Western Town launch. The How I series. How I launched a profitable business with zero content. You standing in front of a blurred laptop screen. Interesting. And the emptiness goal. So I basically mapped out all of the slides, 10 viral carousel ideas, how I get paid to become the person I wanted to be anyways. This is a really good one. Write the full carousel content for this, following the best practices from the video in the sources. And we can have it here, but we probably can also make it as a custom report. So I feel like this is easy to clock up and then it's not as easy to use. Okay, so copy and paste the following prompt. I will do that as well. And then create basically the 2.0 version of the content for my challenge. And obviously, even here, I have to review all of my outputs carefully, but I hope this gave you a lot of ideas for what you can do with NotebookLM to, write promotional material for your ads, right? Feel free to go to my YouTube channel and input that video, how you can create content from your sources, YouTube video, Instagram carousel, Instagram quotes that are also doubling as hooks for videos, how you can create content in slides that you can use for workshops, for launch events, for YouTube videos, how you can make infographics to explain things better, how you can facilitate better learning by making podcasts that students can listen into, providing them with mind maps, and how you maybe even can understand your own teachings better using all of those resources here. So today's call is to upload your resources and converse with your work. You will be surprised by how much value there is in everything you have already created, and how well NotebookLM is suited for getting the most out of that for yourself and for your students. All right, see you in another one.